Welcome to today's lecture on contact center feedback mechanisms. Contact centers are essential for understanding customer satisfaction, identifying areas for improvement, and enhancing the overall customer experience. This lecture will cover the following topics: key objectives of a contact center feedback mechanism, types of feedback mechanisms, methods for collecting feedback, analyzing feedback for actionable insight, benefits of an effective feedback mechanism, as well as challenges in feedback mechanism. Now, please don't get confused, or because in the previous slide, last week's slide, we also talked about feedback, and this is part 2 of that part of the feedback mechanisms. Now, feedback mechanism is in a contact center is a system through which customers' opinions, concerns, and satisfactions are collected after interacting with a contact center. And the importance of a feedback mechanism is for continuous improvement. It can also work for quality assurance and enhancing customer experience. It allows organizations to gauge performance, identify areas for improvement, and also measure the service effectiveness. Now we have key objectives of a contact center in feedback mechanisms, and those objectives are customer satisfaction, to ensure that customers are happy with the service they receive. Another key objective of contact center feedback mechanisms is for performance evaluations. We measure the performance of agents and the contact center. We identify improvement areas so that we can recognize trends or recurring issues that needs the attention of the supervisor or the contact center manager. It can also be a quality assurance issue or a training issue. It also assists in customer retention, where it addresses customers' issues proactively to enhance loyalty and churn and prevent churn. Then there are different types of feedback mechanisms that can be used within a contact center. The first one is post-interaction surveys, where we send an email or an SMS or a follow-up call that can be done for post-interaction surveys. And normally those surveys focus on quality of service, agent behavior, issue resolutions, and also overall satisfaction. And then we have then real-time feedback mechanisms that we can also use within a contact center. Real-time feedback mechanisms collected during or immediately after their interaction through a live chat, voice surveys, or interactive voice response, and also assist to capture immediate customer sentiment. The last type of feedback mechanism that can be used is social media and online reviews. For example, feedback posted on Twitter, Facebook, or specialized review sites, which will allow customers to express their satisfaction or dissatisfaction in a public forum. Then we have the different methods for collecting this feedback that we can use in a contact center. We have surveys. With surveys, we are referring to simple structured questions that can be quantitative or qualitative. We also look at customer satisfaction scores, where we can have a quick survey asking customers to rate their satisfaction with a service of a product. Then we have the Net Promoter Score, which measures customer loyalty with a single question. For example, how likely are you to recommend us to others? And then we have the Customer Effort Score, which measures how much effort a customer had to put in to resolve an issue. And lastly, we have focus groups and interviews, which is then an in-depth customer conversation. And during that, we then gather detailed insights. And then after that, we can analyze the feedback that we received from the customers and also come up with actionable insights. To get valuable insights from our contact center feedback, we must look at feedback from different sources like customer surveys, complaints, and social media reviews. And in order for us to find common themes and patterns and sort the feedback into positive, negative, and neutral comments. Now, with quantitative data, we use metrics like customer satisfaction, net promoter score, and also the customer effort score to gauge the overall satisfaction and loyalty of the customers. Then with qualitative data, we analyze open-ended feedback from recurring themes and sentiments. And then with trend analysis, we then also get feedback that can be tracked to identify patterns or seasonal issues that will enable proactive adjustments. And those are then the how we will then in a contact center analyze feedback from actionable insights. And then that will conclude the day. But before we conclude, there's still one last slide left, the benefits of effective feedback mechanisms. When we have put these mechanisms in place, there's definitely a benefit for the contact center because it will improve customer experience. It will address pain points based on feedback that will lead to higher satisfaction and loyalty. It will also bring in agent development because the feedback can then be used to coach agents, help them improve their communication, empathy, and problem solving skills. It will also assist with decision making within the contact center because the insight gathered will allow managers to make data driven decisions about resource allocation, training, and process improvements. And then it will also have a competitive advantage for the contact center because it can act on customer, if the contact center acts on customer feedback, it can differentiate itself from the competitors by offering a superior service. And then we also have challenges in feedback mechanisms. The challenges in feedback mechanisms will normally look at low response rate, bias in feedback, and the data overload. When we talk about low response rates, it's customers that may not always take the time to provide a feedback. That can be a challenge in the feedback mechanism because if they don't provide, if the customers don't provide the contact center with any feedback, it makes it very difficult for the contact center to be able to understand and to know what the problem is. So a solution sometimes when we have low response rates is an incentivized participation with rewards, or we create a short and engaging survey. Then another challenge with feedback mechanisms is the biasness in the feedback. Customers with extreme opinions, very satisfied or dissatisfied, are likelier to respond. And then how do we then solve that? We implement a balance of feedback channels and target diverse customers. Then the last challenge in feedback mechanisms is data overload. Managing large volumes of feedback can be overwhelming. So the solution is to use analytic tools to categorize and prioritize feedback for more straightforward actions. And then in summary, we need to know and understand that a contact center feedback mechanism is not just about collecting data. It is about creating a continuous improvement loop that elevates the customer experience and also drives organizational success. That then concludes the lesson for today. Thank you for attending the session. Have a great day further.